30 laps the distance, $12,000 to win. Chase Dietz, Lucas Wolf, right behind Service Center start zone. Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Oh, a bit of a burp there on the start for Chase Dietz. That'll cost him. Hello, Danny Dietrich. Dietrich bursts onto the scene into that runner-up spot. Lucas Wolf will lead lap number 1. 1 lap scored as we see the 27S of Kendall facing the wrong direction in turn number 2. And green. Much better start for Chase Dietz. He slides up the banking. Danny Dietrich, too much momentum. Dietrich able to hold on to that second spot as he challenges for the lead off of turn number 4. Ryan Smith now, 69K into 4th. He's gone around Freddie Raymer. Dietrich comes up short again as Wolf holds the point down the back straightaway. 5W wheeling early. Dietrich coming back after him in 3 and 4. Unable to clear him. Wolf smooth around the top. Troy Wagaman Jr. now around the 51 of Freddie Raymer into the 5th position. As Lucas Wolf holds the top spot, 2 car lengths his advantage over Danny Dietrich down the backstretch into turn number 3. Dietrich with yet another slider at the line. Danny Dietrich, your leader. Hello. 48 car, 34 1/1000ths of a second in front of the 5W at the line. Chase Dietz now coming after the 5W for second. Got him. Dietz by 1/100th of a second. Oh, Lucas Wolf going to return serve over in turn number 2. How pretty was that? That, my friends, a veteran, well-executed slider from Lucas Wolf. Dietz now, oh, problems over in turn number 1. We got one upside down. Red flag waves. Dietrich covers the preferred line through 1 and 2. Oh my, how pretty was that? He'll hold 3.5 car lengths over Chase Dietz down the back straightaway through 3 and 4. Dietrich right rear up on the cushion and motoring, my friends, with a capital M. Ryan Smith into the 3rd position as he's made his way around the 5W of Lucas Wolf. Danny Dietrich in clean air holds 5-6 car lengths now over Chase Dietz. Anthony Macri coming up through the field. Dietrich, your leader. Dietz is 2nd. Ryan Smith up to 3rd. Freddie Raymer 4th. 5th, the 5W of Lucas Wolf. And caution will wave. So we got one turned around over in turn number 3. Good start for the 23. Dietz is there. So Dietz all over the tail tag of the 48 down the back straightaway. Watch him into 3. Slider comes up short. Dietrich, your leader. Check the gap here, 1st to 2nd. 1.49 seconds. A little further back in the pack, Troy Wagaman Jr. all over Lucas Wolf, and that's the race for 5th. Down the backstretch into turn 3. Wolf around the bottom. 27 goes topside. Macri is there. 3-car tussle now. As Wagaman pulls the trigger on a slider, Lucas Wolf turns back under him. They'll race wheel to wheel down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Wagaman through the middle, slides up the banking and catches the cushion, but the veteran Wolf so smooth off of 4. 5W holding on to that 5th position. Dietrich up through the middle on the exit of 2. Dietz off the bottom. 3 car lengths between the 48 and the 23. 21 laps scored, 9 remaining. Make that 22 and 8 remaining. Ryan Smith now trying to work his way through the back markers. Smith in that 3rd position. Chase Dietz within a car length on the front straightaway of the 48. He is there. Nose to tail down the backstretch. Dietz to the bottom. Dietrich up top. Dietrich back on the throttle and around Dietz. Hello. Dietz off the bottom. My goodness, 5 to go. We got us a barn burner. Dietz goes topside. Dietrich runs the bottom. 48 car squats and launches. 1 car length separating the 48 and the 23. 4 to go right here. Lead back up to 0.6 of a second. Good set of corners there for Dietrich in 3 and 4. But Dietz is rim riding through 1 and 2. Closes back in on your leader. White flag in the air for Danny Dietrich, who is now 94/100ths of a second in front of Chase Dietz. Started outside of row number 2, made his presence known early. Final time through 3 and 4, he heads to the bottom, and when he comes off of turn number 4, you'll see the checkered flag. Pennsylvania Speed Week opener goes to Danny Dietrich. He is out of the car. He's got the checkered flag. He's coming around back. Tonight's RV 4-wheel drive and performance automotive 410 sprint car feature Speed Week opener goes to Danny Dietrich.
Off turn 4, green flag wave. Pennsylvania Speed Week feature event underway. Danny Dietrich jumps out to the early race lead. Lucas Wolf in second. Here goes Brock Zierfoss. Zierfoss side by side with Kyle Larson. They're going to battle for the 3rd position. Actually, it's going to be a battle between Lucas Wolf and Kyle Larson for that 2nd spot. Wolf has the runner-up position, but Larson trying to take it away. Right behind Larson, you've got the 3Z of Brock Zierfoss, the 39M, Anthony Macri. In hot pursuit as Danny Dietrich comes down and leads lap number 2. Logan Wagner, Brady Bacon, they're racing for number 6 position. Bacon takes it away. That'll put Wagner back into the 7th spot. Ryan Smith is off the track into the infield area. We have a red flag condition here on the speedway. 1 car on its side up in the turn 2 area. Coming down for the restart. Caution lights out, green flag waves. Lucas Wolf looking to the inside of Danny Dietrich. However, Dietrich strong comes off turn 2, retaining the lead. Side-by-side action for the 6th position. Dietrich, your leader. Wolf second. Larson is 3rd. Brady Bacon and Anthony Macri in a battle, but it looks like Bacon's going to win that battle, and he goes to the inside of Brock Zierfoss. Brady Bacon trying to take over that number 4 position. Brock Zierfoss battling back on the inside. Bacon will get the spot. Kyle Larson closing in on the 5W of Lucas Wolf. Out front, Danny Dietrich showing the way. Here comes Larson. Here comes Brady Bacon. Freddie Raymer trying to work his way up through the field. Freddie Raymer now up into the 9th position after starting in the 13th spot. Yeah. Green flag. Kyle Larson takes a look to the inside, but Danny Dietrich is strong. But here comes Larson. They head down the back straightaway. Larson closing in. Looks to the inside once again of Danny Dietrich. Dietrich holds on to the number 1 spot at the exit, turn 4. Same thing at the opposite end of the speedway. It's Larson taking a look to the inside, but coming off turn, Danny Dietrich appears to be a bit stronger than the 57 of Larson. Lucas Wolf still in that 3rd spot. Danny Dietrich, 6/10 of the lead now. Dietrich seems to be up to the challenge. However, we're only halfway through this 30-lap feature event. Anything can change. Kyle Larson, a master in the latter stages of an event. Right now it's going to be Danny Dietrich, Kyle Larson, Lucas Wolf, Anthony Macri, Brock Zierfoss, Brady Bacon dropping back to 7th. Here comes Larson again, trying to get a run on Dietrich down the front stretch into turn 1. Larson takes a look to the inside, but boy, does Dietrich get a run off the top of that turn 2 area. Headed into turn 3, Dietrich now goes to the inside. He has to go where the cars are none. Here comes Larson. Larson closing in through turns 1 and 2. Kyle Larson right there. Danny Dietrich again gets a good run. He gains a little bit of ground coming off turn 2, but it's going to be Kyle Larson. Larson looks to the outside as they come off turn 4. Larson right there. Cat and mouse game between Danny Dietrich and Kyle Larson. That is the battle for the win. Again, race traffic could be a factor. Dietrich on the low side. Larson will follow along likewise on the low side through turns 4. And again, Larson takes a look to the inside. Here comes Larson. He gets a good run off the inside of turn 2 and takes over the race lead. Kyle Larson, Danny Dietrich now a bit wide open turn 4. He'll lose ground to the new race leader. Final lap for Kyle Larson. Danny Dietrich, Lucas Wolf closing in on Danny Dietrich. Actually coming around turn 4, checker flag is going to go in the air, and it will be Kyle Larson picking up the win. Dietrich tries to get close, but it just comes up a bit short, and it will be Lucas Wolf third.
Into turn number 3 as they approach the chalk line. That's your starting point in turn 4. Here we go. Better start for Ryan Smith up top. Smith, your leader. Hello. Ryan Smith out front early. Chase Dietz pressuring the 48 of Dietrich. Dietrich with his wheels under him, finding his rhythm now as Ryan Smith out to the early advantage. 3 car lengths in front of Danny Dietrich. Chase Dietz runs 3rd. Cameron Smith 4th last time by, but Brent Marks throws the slider off of turn number 2. Smith comes back after him, can't make it work. Brent Marks into 4th. Chase Dietz in 3rd, 4th and 19 of Marks. Cameron Smith rounds out in your top 5. Freddie Raymer to the infield. Ryan Smith now with Danny Dietrich all over the tail tank of the 6th. The 77 of Michael Walter right in front of your leader. Dietrich to the inside of Ryan Smith. Smith back around him off of turn number 4. Ryan Smith holds the top spot. Dietrich coming back after him. Smith trying to thread the needle into turn number 3 as they were momentarily 3 wide. Ryan Smith unable to clear Michael Walter as Danny Dietrich is there. They are 3 wide off of 2 as Ryan Smith unable to clear Walter, but he will get around Logan Rumsey. Dietrich now all over the 6 car, dives to the bottom of 1. He's got position on Smith off of 2, but Ryan Smith will surge ahead down the back straightaway into turn number 3. Dietrich once again attempted to maneuver on the bottom of Speedway through 3 and 4, but Smith had too much up top. Dietrich right with him though as they head to the bottom of turn number 4. Problems for Alex Attard, and Danny Dietrich goes around. Oh my goodness. No official word from Speed Week officials, but it appears that the blend rule is into play as Danny Dietrich falls in line 6th on the grid. Smith goes topside. Chase Dietz through the middle. Cameron Smith all over Brent Marks for 4th. Smith in 4th, challenging for 3rd. Brady Bacon now around Danny Dietrich. 20 car into the 6th position. Out front, bid for the lead. Chase Dietz with a slider, can't make it work. Ryan Smith back to the point. Dietz with another slider. Smith too quick around the outside of turn number 2, and problems here off of turn number 4. Cameron Smith goes topside into 75. He runs into 4th position. He got up out of the racing group, but a nice recovery there. Smith gets loose in turn number 4. The car stalls. Several cars are involved. J.J. Lawson, the 67, makes contact with him. The 66 of Ryan Newton is involved. Top 5 all on the same straightaway. Ryan Smith, Chase Dietz, Brent Marks, Anthony Macri, Danny Dietrich. 10 laps remaining, 25 complete. Chase Dietz with a slider. Ryan Smith going to return serve in 1 and 2. Dietz back under him into turn number 3. Chase Dietz, your new race leader. Danny Dietrich has gotten around Anthony Macri with his sights set on Brent Marks now. 7 laps remaining. Ryan Smith off the bottom of 2, closing back in on your leader. Ryan Smith off the bottom. Danny Dietrich coming with him. Brent Marks to the outside. Marks off the cushion. Smith launches off the bottom. He'll hold the 2nd spot. Dietrich is there. Dietrich underneath the Marks can't make the pass. Chase Dietz continues to show the way with 5 laps remaining. Things are heating up here in the final stages. Dietz pretty through the middle of 3 and 4. Smith off the bottom. Marks to the top of 1 and 2. He's bringing Dietrich with him. Brent Marks off of 2 for 2nd. Got him. Ryan Smith going to fight back off the bottom of 4. Can't quite make the pass. 3 laps remaining for your leader, Chase Dietz. Brent Marks is 2nd by a nose. Ryan Smith is there. Danny Dietrich closing. Anthony Macri rounding out your top 5 with 2 laps to go. Your leader up the banking in turn number 3. Brent Marks around Ryan Smith once again. White flag in the air. Final time around. Does Marks have anything for Chase Dietz? Ryan Smith to the inside of Brent Marks off of turn number 4. Checkered flag in the air. Pennsylvania Speed Week finale goes to Chase Dietz.
He's going to go to the roof. I know he is. It's Chase Dietz. Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. It's our Christmas edition. We got 2 more days till Christmas. And yes, we will be back next week before anybody asks. But thank you to everybody who is going to call in, anybody joining the chat. Happy holidays to you guys. And we've had some, breaking stuff over the last couple of weeks that we could talk about tonight. Obviously the James McFadden stuff from today. A couple other happenings. Scott Boguski joining the World of Outlaws, which was a bit of a surprise. So plenty of things to comment on. And if you want to give us a call, it's 844. Excuse me, my voice was a little shaky. 543-8589. Again, if you're calling in, 844-543-8589. Also, at 8:30, and 9 o'clock, we'll be giving away 2 tickets to the $5 show on June 7th at Baps Motor Speedway. To get those tickets, all you have to do is call in, and Eric, our producer, will take care of you, get your address, and they will be shipped off to you. So want to ask a question, you could do that as well. So let's get after it. And
Let's get to the chat. Any more teams joining high? Any more teams joining high limit? The only one that I could see maybe going over now is Emerson Axum. I think he's going to run a national tour this year. I know as a World Finals, when I talked to him, he was looking for a crew chief. So I think once that's done and everything's determined with the crew, I think then they will make their choice, whether it's high limit, the World of Outlaws. The other interesting thing is with the World of Outlaws starting in February, you don't really have to declare. You could do those 4 races down there, do bike week, and then hightail it to Vegas to run the high limit events. So I think that gives you a lag time to see, where you stand in the points leaving Volusia. And, maybe you see people switch, but I doubt it. I don't think you'll see anybody who's declared for the World of Outlaws doing that. But if you're an Emerson Axum or somebody like that, you go to Volusia, thinking about both series, you can kind of feel it out early and go from there. But Emerson Axum's the only one that I can think of who might go high limit racing. Sorry, my eyes are adjusting. Any more information on TJ Stutz's future? I think he's one of those guys who's going to go to Florida and he'll make a decision between the 2 Volusia events, between Dirt Car Nationals and Bike Week. I don't think that decision's going to be made before then. See how he does down there. I know there's other things he's got to put in place. So we'll know more probably after Volusia. McFadden is way too low in your rankings. Stoked to see him run 50 shows at Tarleton 21. I was waiting for that. Yeah, I put out my final rankings right before the show. And he's hard. It's hard because he only ran 29 shows. He didn't win a sanctioned event. His biggest win, in my opinion, was the Capitani Classic. He won 4 of his first 5 shows, was out in the West Coast, mainly NARC competition. And again, that's like regional racing. I don't think NARC was particularly strong this year. And it was tough to place him. So I put him 20th. A sanctioned win would have boosted him up a little bit. Again, the Capitani Classic win was pretty big, but a lot of guys, and it was kind of maybe even a little surprising. He dominated that event, but he was tricky where to put him. I'm not going to say you're wrong that he could be a little higher, but I stuck him 20th. Will the Tarleton 21 run TRD motors in 26? Yes, they hope to have a couple of those motors. We had an article on SprintCarUnlimited.com, and crew chief Drew Warner, say that 5 times fast, mentioned about having TRD this year. So I could see that happening, yes. Are you surprised that McFadden and Tarleton are coming cross country to PA Speed Week? Absolutely. When he told me that, I was stunned because that's a cross country trip from the previous week. They'll be running Dirt Cup, and then they're just going to hightail it east. I was surprised they were going to run all 10 nights. I could have seen them maybe running toward the end of PA Speed Week, but that's what happens when you have events paying $10,000 minimum. And then you have the $40,000 for the Steve Smith tribute at Lincoln. You have $15,000 at the Grove. Just a lot of higher paying shows for Speed Week. And James McFadden obviously has won in this area before. He has an Outlaws win at the Williams Grove. And he knows the area. And I think he could help that team transition real easy to running bigger tracks. And I expect him to do well. So, but yes, I was definitely surprised. I say pleasantly surprised. It's going to be good to have another invader for PA Speed Week. Any idea where Corey Eliason and Hunter Schoenberg end up in 2026? I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Eliason's in the Wheatley 45 again. I know that's something that him and I talked about at the end of 2025. As for Schoenberg, not sure. I've heard different rumors about where he could go. Uh, I just, I heard, that Heiderer car, but that didn't work out. Obviously, Ian Madsen's in that. I just don't, I don't know where Schoenberg goes at this point. But Eliason, I could see him in the 45 again. Who would you consider, or what would you consider the highlight of the 2025 sprint car season? A highlight. It depends. A highlight. I think there's a lot of them. I think we had some really good races. I think the Roth Classic, those last few laps between Spencer Baston and David Gravel, that race was really up for grabs with a couple people in the mix. So, and the way it ended, and Gravel getting the lead, and then with Spencer Baston, Dyson at the end. I think that was one of the highlight races. I think Anthony Macri, Ryan Timms, and Sheldon Hodenshield winning crown jewels. They were first-time winners. I don't think anybody expected Ryan Timms to kill the Knoxville field like that, but that wasn't close. That was over from the jump. Anthony Macri winning at Eldora. I mean, if you were going to pick a crown jewel for Anthony Macri to win, I think it would have been Williams Grove. He was really good there all year. But those three guys getting it done in crown jewel events, another highlight. If you're looking at silly season, not that that's a highlight for anybody who gets fired, but I think one of the biggest news items was obviously Donnie Schatz and TSR. And of course, he recently signed on with CJB Motorsports, which little surprising because that really wasn't talked about for a while. So just a lot of items, a lot of twists and turns and things that you just didn't expect to happen, which seems to be the norm now in sprint car racing every season. If Gio does well in the Spire car, does Spire try to move him to NASCAR? I don't think that happens at all. I know people want to think that there's this big NASCAR connection. I don't see it. Did an interview with Dickerson from Spire, and there was no indication of that. And I don't think Gio would do it anyway. I mean, he's already spurned NASCAR once. I don't think he's going to go back to the well. So, no, I think there's 0.0 chance. Will you be watching any of the Boxing Day races coming up in Australia in a few days? Yeah, I mean, I hope to keep an eye on it. Obviously, I have family stuff going on, my daughter and whatnot. But yes, I will be keeping an eye on it. I do plan to do some 90 at 9 next week. I'll do one tomorrow, Christmas Eve, and then there won't be one until Monday, but it could have some Boxing Day stuff on it. Let's hit the like button. Jeremy needs 100 likes for Christmas. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. How many of the 6 rookies with the Outlaws last year will be back in 2026? Cole Macedo, yes. Garrett Williamson, yes. Connor Morrell, they say he'll be back. Zach Hampton, I don't think he'll be back. Obviously, Hunter Schoenberg will not be back. So I'm thinking 4. I'm thinking Chris Wyndham's supposed to be back. So I'll say 4. 4 of the 6. The high limit opener in Las Vegas should be a stacked field. Yeah, it should look good. You're going to have James McFadden there. Like I said, I reported earlier today. So that's good. You're going to have West Coast guys there. It's a 3-day show. Looking forward to it. I'm also Central Arizona raced really well last year, and I expect 3 good nights there. Obviously, weather permitting with all these shows, especially in March. But I will be at Las Vegas tentatively. It's always good to go to Vegas and then come back home for Central PA. But looking forward to Vegas. McFadden and Tarleton for 2026. This will be a good year for Tarleton. I think it's an interesting year. I think 50 races, coming outside of California more, getting to Pennsylvania. I don't think you could go wrong there. So, yeah, I look for it to be a good season. I think they'll contend more at some sanctioned races. Like I said, 1 to Capitani. That's a tough race to win. 3rd at the front row, which is a good showing as well last year. So I expect them with coming here in March, I expect them to kind of hit the ground running. Not that you can do much better than 4 out of 5 to start their last stint together, but I expect some good runs out of them early on. Wanted to give a shout out to Adams Auto Sales and Devin Adams. I bought a car there, and they were all very nice people. There you go. Shameless plug. Like it. What's the plan for Randall? I've heard different things. I've heard he's going to run Husitz, and then I also heard he's going to be back with High Limit. I think that's up in the air. I don't think Allbach's back this year, so that definitely is a hit from a financial standpoint. Now, maybe they worked something out, and that's not the case, but that's what I'm told. So we'll see. I don't really have a firm grasp on what Randall's doing yet in 2026. Will Steven Snyder Jr. race more sprint races this year? I hope so. I think his star's on the rise. Obviously, people know him from the micro ranks and what he's accomplished there. I thought he had some good runs in a 410 sprint car despite some, limited opportunities. Finished 5th at Eldora this year. He was running in the top 10 of that deal of the night Reitzel flipped and got injured at Eldora. He was running 8th. I believe it was 7th or 8th, somewhere in there. Had nowhere to go, and he got collected in the Reitzel deal. So, I like Steven Snyder Jr. I think he was up. I think he was getting some consideration from the Boot car to run High Limit. Obviously, Tanner Holmes got that ride, but Steven Snyder's name was in the mix. So I think it isn't going to be too long until he gets a shot with a bigger team for more races. I was looking at the Lincoln schedule and realized that PA Series, again, my eyes are all messed up, and realized the PA Series dates do not add any interest for me. Don't think many will be going to more races just because it is in the PA Series. Do you agree? I think that PA Series, I think there's a lot up in the air with that. And I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think people could either go to the PA Series and then they won't go to those regular shows, or they're just going to go to the regular shows for cheaper and not go to the series events. I think it could go either way. I think it could be a mix of both. I don't know. It's going to be a wait and see. There's things that I'm not a fan of when it comes to the PA Series. I think the good is that the tracks work together, and I think also less races. I think that's much needed in PA, but I don't like the 47 race schedule for the series. I've talked about that ad nauseum. I just don't think guys are going to run it. I think the $4,000 sanction fee is a problem. I think if there's raised ticket prices, that's a problem. And I just don't know how much of an impact it could make. So I don't disagree with you. How much of a partnership does CMR and Spire have, if any? That's interesting. I think it's run in conjunction with. I think there is a relationship there. I could not get out of anybody how much cohesiveness there is on that. So I am not 100% sure. They use, in conjunction with, I think lead the way, or they're kind of leaning on each other a little bit, but I don't really know from an ownership standpoint. From what I gather, it Spires. So I don't know. They maybe park next to each other. Jerry Stone was named to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. What are your memories of Jerry when he ran Central Pennsylvania? It's a long time ago. I remember him winning a few races. I thought the car was cool because it was like a team deal with Ron Schumann. They kind of had the same look. So I remember Jerry Stone. I believe he has I'm not sure, he might have a Speed Week win. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Maybe Eric can look that up on their website. But I do remember him winning races here. Good racer. Won out in the Midwest. I guess it was NCRA championships, I believe. So, getting into Sprint Car Hall of Fame, it's quite an honor. Congratulations to all the guys who made it. Alan Holland, from the media side, you don't see many media guys get in. Developed hose heads real early on before anybody really thought of anything like that. So kudos to him. But Jerry Stone, definitely one of the guys who I looked at on the nominating ballot and gave him consideration. So good little racer, and I remember him winning some races in PA. Jeremy, what did you tell Santa you want for Christmas? Really nothing. At 53, I just it's more for my kid, my daughter. And, so I if she's happy, I'm happy. And, seeing my dad, I enjoy the holidays through her eyes. So I'm 53. Come on. What am I going to ask for? Might buy myself a gift, but no, it's nice. I got a blender last year. It was fantastic. And I need to use it more, obviously, to get some weight off my body, but we'll see. It's always a fun time. Jerry Stone was the first invader to come into the Keystone State and swipe a win. He traveled from the Midwest to Path Valley in 1992, sat in Victory Lane. So I was correct. I just didn't have the track. Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it. Where the hell is your Tyler Swank year-end show? It's our God-given right. Get on it. We taped it last night. It is coming out tomorrow morning. I will be putting it together while I watch Edmonton and Calgary tonight and San Jose and Las Vegas in hockey. So it will be out tomorrow morning sometime. You asked, you shall receive. '26 Lincoln schedule came out yesterday. Notice some midweek races that I feel are kind of a head scratcher. Can't disagree with that. If you look at the timing of them, they're all before sanction series come in here. The ones before the Weicker, which I believe is May 20th, off the top of my head. Then there's another one, I think it's July 22nd, which I believe is right before the high limit races at Port. And then there's one right before the Williams Grove National Open. I agree. They're head scratchers because I think maybe the belief is they'll get some traveling guys. They're not getting traveling guys. I just don't think they're going to run for $5,000-$6,000. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but they were curious to me as well. Great show with Justin today. Yeah, thank you to Justin Fiedler for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'm always happy to do that. And congratulations to him for winning Media Member of the Year, tying with Tony Laporta from High Limit. Have you heard if Jordan Givler will be running a bigger schedule in the 2D for 2026? Enjoy watching him race. I have not heard anything about that, but I will definitely check into it. Usually Jordan's good about getting stuff like that out, and I'll check with him. Definitely check with him. Check back with me next week. 3 new Crown Jewel winners. What a welcome surprise. Yeah, we don't get that very often. Not with people like David Gravel and other guys lurking. I don't expect 3 this year. I expect we'll have some repeats. And if we're going to have, I did a 90 at 9 a while ago about the next guy who doesn't have a Crown Jewel, who's going to win it. And I think it's Rico Aber. I think he'll be the next one to win a Crown Jewel. And by that, I mean Kings Royal Knoxville Nationals or Williams Grove National Open. Most improved driver overall in 2025, in your opinion? Ooh, good question. In Central Pennsylvania, I got to give it to Chase Dietz again, which has just been constant over the years. Troy Wagaman Jr. also doubled his win totals from 3 to 6. Those two jump off the page to me. Justin Whittall as well. Those 3 guys in Central Pennsylvania definitely, I think, just continue to get better and better each year. On the national level, I mean, Ryan Timms. I know he didn't have a great year in sanctioned events, but winning the Knoxville Nationals and then coming back and winning the Tuscarora 50 at a place he doesn't go to, I think was kind of seals that moniker up for him. Another guy who I think is taking big leaps is Tanner Thorson. Again, just think he gets better and better each year. Needs to improve more on the big tracks, but just looking really good. Dason Pursley, another one who just from the beginning of last season till the end of the season improved drastically. Those are the guys who jump off the page for me. Does IHRA look at trying to move into sprint car racing also? I don't know. I know this has been talked about. I talked to somebody at PRI. I don't know. I mean, we always talk about somebody new coming in, and really, I just think it's a non-story until it's a story. And they've been through a few presidents lately of the company. That's a concern. If you look at they've gone through a number of presidents, like 3 or so in the last year and a half, or some number like that. That's a concern. And really, if you can't buy the World of Outlaws and you can't buy High Limit, how big of a splash are you really going to make? And I don't see Carter selling to IHRA, and I know damn well Brad Sweet's not going to do that. So I don't see it being a big deal at this point. Could you see any of the High Limit drivers that are based in PA run the second half of PA Speed Week in 2026? Sure. I think that Lincoln race on Monday, which would be race 4, for $40,000, I wouldn't be surprised if Tanner Thorson's in. Wouldn't be surprised if the 14's there. Wouldn't be surprised if, obviously, we already talked about James McFadden. I could see Brent Marks showing up at some shows. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see like Rico come in, but I do think you're going to get some guys. So 3 or 4 of them, sure. Maybe Cy Lynch. Who knows? Do you think this ambitious traveling schedule for Tarleton is a warm-up for a national tour in 2027. Another 10, 15 races, and you have the high limit schedule. I just don't know what driver you would have, because from talking to James McFadden, he's going to be in Australia. I mean, he's back in Australia now. He's not coming over here, and I don't see him being over here for an entire schedule. So who do you get? Who's going to be your guy? So now you're going to look at somebody who maybe is new to the fold, but I don't think they have that in mind right now. I do not see that car running a full national tour. Talking to Drew Warner, I just don't think that's where they're going right now. When will Sprint Car Unlimited every week shirts and bobbleheads be available for purchase? There will be no bobbleheads. No bobbleheads for me. Nobody wants to see that on the mantle. I'm looking into Sprint Car Unlimited shirts. They could be 90 at 9 shirts. They might be live show shirts. They might have all of them on. I do have a couple guys. I do have a list of guys who I'm going to call and talk to them about, what deal I can make, and then we'll go from there. No bobbleheads, though. Nobody needs that. What are your thoughts on the current situation in Western PA? I think the Tri-City Lernerville thing's just stupid. I think that's the biggest issue facing that area or that region, and I think those two running against each other is just dumb. I think it's dividing the field. I don't think there's enough cars to do it. Lernerville obviously had that spot. Tri-City decided to move there. That's great, but it's not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone. So I think that's bad. I like Western Pennsylvania Speed Week. I think it just continues to grow. I think it continues to improve. I think they're doing a good job. And hopefully it can make the area stronger and make up for that, for the nonsense between Tri-City and Lernerville. And that's what it is. It just makes no sense to me. Did the Outlaws sweeten the pot for Macedo to stay, or was it his sponsors? It was sponsor driven. I didn't clarify that on Justin's deal. I apologize for that. So yeah, no, it was sponsor related. By the way, it's 8:00. So if anybody wants to call in, I assume you'd have to be from the Pennsylvania area. You can call Eric and he'll take your name and your address, and 2 tickets will be mailed out to you from General Manager Colton Gauss for the $5 410 Sprint Car Show, June 7th at Baps Motor Speedway. Also, we do have a QR code on the show. We're running that special. I know it's been asked about a few times here. We are running a special. It's 20% off SprintCarUnlimited.com year subscription. Just scan the QR code and put Holiday 2025 at checkout, and you get it for $28. There's my plug, and we'll get back to the chat and or calls. Dave on line 1. Dave, how are you?
Hey, Jeremy. Happy holidays to you and yours, everybody.
Same to you. Thank you.
Oh, a little bit of American reports there from across the pond. Team has had some good runs. Looks like Tanner Holmes wadded one up here recently, and the guy I'm kind of interested in there's Caleb Montgomery. He's had some year-end success here in the States, and he's won some races over, I guess it was New Zealand. It kind of reminds me of Danny's Rams, kind of a one-man family-run show. I'm thinking maybe somebody would pick him up. They might have a pretty good driver there.
Needs to win more. He hasn't really won anything in the States in a 410 anyway. I need to see more wins on the West Coast. Usually guys who come out of there, they win more. And I need to see that. He's had some good runs with High Limit. The New Zealand stuff, that's a different deal. If you got to be beating James McFadden, Kerry Madsen, and those guys over there. So that's one thing. I know he's back in the States now, I guess. And yeah, I'd like to see him get a ride. We'll see what happens. I'd like to see him get some wins over here before we get too carried away. I'm slow on that stuff unless it's, depending who you're facing. So no, I think he's had some good runs with High Limit. We'll see what they do this year. I know he has a family operation. I think they're pretty well funded, though, if I'm not mistaken. This is just what
He might be a good candidate for when McFadden goes back home and maybe finish out the season with Tarleton if they don't end up with Justin Sanders again. I don't know.
Well, they won't do Justin Sanders, guaranteed. He's never been in that car, and he never will. But Kobe Copeland is who I hear will be the guy when James McFadden's not running it, because it's only going to be a few races.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, Jeremy. Good show as always.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Say you bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right. Whoop. How did WRG and the Outlaws do at the Hall of Fame off-season awards? I assume you're making reference to High Limit having a good weekend. Obviously, Rico Abreu was Driver of the Year. He also had Team of the Year. Tony Laporta shared Media Member of the Year with Justin Fiedler. I know Brad Sweet was named Promoter of the Year. Look, I don't think that means that they didn't do a good job. I mean, those awards are subjective. They're voted on. I'm not saying that it wasn't warranted. I'm just saying they're subjective. I think the Outlaws have won their share over the years. And it's just one of those things. I don't think it's an indictment on the world of Outlaws. Let's put it that way. Why would you follow any series that doesn't have uniform rules? That's a good point. Can't argue that. I think Speed Week should have uniform rules, and that's only 10 races. Or as close as you can have to it. I don't think you... obviously, there's some things track to track, like where you start in turn 4, but yeah, I'm more in favor of uniform rules at this point when it comes to a series. Future of Chad Trout. Here he's going to run 20 to 30 races this year. He's weaning down a little bit. And, I always hear it's going to be less and less, but this year, 20 to 30 races. I don't think he's going to be married to one track. I think he's going to duck in and out, go some places maybe he hasn't been before, and call it a year. So I wouldn't even be surprised if he runs a legend or runs a super sportsman or tries another division for a race or two. So, but 20 to 30 races is what I'm hearing in a 410 sprint car. Burgers or hot dogs? What? It's like a cookout on Christmas. It depends. I like them both. It depends. It depends on my mood. I don't have one preference over another, really. Will Engel be back with Baylog? I kind of think so. Talked to him I talked to him at the National Open, and he mentioned about he thinks he found a guy now. He thinks he found a crew guy. So I think that's one of the things that Baylog has struggled with the first 2 years with the World of Outlaws, and he's overcome it. I mean, 3 wins last year. That's pretty good. And so I think if he can get a guy like that, I think that'll help tremendously. And it seems like he might stay with him. Do we know if anyone will compete, I think you mean compete with Tanner Holmes for High Limit Rookie of the Year to get some laps at new tracks? All the other rookies so far have committed to the World of Outlaws. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's Tanner Holmes or bust at this point, because I would assume Kerry Madsen, since he ran the Outlaws in the past, isn't a rookie. I think if Emerson Axum comes on board, I think he'll have rookie status. And then, of course, they'll kind of duke it out for that. So right now, it's just Tanner Holmes. So I think that's where we're at. We'll see if anybody else commits. Based on where careers are today, how many current drivers are Hall of Fame inductees? Well, I assume you mean national touring guys. So Donnie Schatz. So I'll go down each series. Donnie Schatz, David Gravel, Buddy Kofoid will be slam dunk. Carson Macedo, probably Logan Schuchart, Sheldon likely. Crown Jewel helped him. And then that's probably it as of now. High limit side, Rico. I'll count Brad Sweet. That's easy, even though he's going to run part-time. Tyler Courtney will be, because he has a Kings Royal win. Not that that's the end-all, be-all, but he gets enough wins. Aaron Reitzel should. I think he's that good. Brent Marks has crown jewels. He has 3 of them at this point, so he'll get in. I'd say that's about it as of now from a national touring perspective. Pennsylvania, Macri, Dietrich. That's as of now. Just those guys. I think it's tough for a West Coast guy to get in unless they leave California. So I'll say Justin Sanders eventually will be. There's over 100 wins out there. California's dicey. I mean, there's guys who have done a lot in sprint car racing. They're no longer in the sport, and they should be in and don't get in. So that's who I got right now as far as who I think should be in at some point. Projecting out, short of an injury right now or whatever. Good question, though. Good job with Lucas Wolf, and enjoyed hearing the old stories. Oh, you mean Randy, his dad? No, Randy's good. He's always an entertaining guy at the track. Always like talking to him. Thank you. Cameron Smith is also, yes. I think Cameron Smith is probably the best young guy in central Pennsylvania right now. No doubt. Agreed. J-Mac mentioned in his interview with High Limit that Drew's original schedule was bigger than 50 to start. I wouldn't doubt it. I talked to Drew last night, and it's all on SprintCarUnlimited.com. And yes, he mentioned that it was a pretty healthy slate. So I think they would love for McFadden to come back full time, but I don't see that happening. Eric, please convince Jeremy we must have bobbleheads. Not happening. That's a big no. Jeremy, if Sprint Car Racing had a list of New Year's resolutions, what would they be? No, it should be what should they be? More compounds for tires, more choices. Should be number one. Lower cost for tires, albeit it will never happen. I don't think. I think New Year's resolutions. It all centers around that. Those two things should be at the top of the list. Otherwise, I think it's okay. It just costs are such a huge problem right now. So I'm gonna go. The top one should be costs. I could go with a bunch of others, but I don't want to bore you guys. Hockey talk. Do you remember Pavel Bure, the Russian Rocket? Yes. Yes. In fact, I was talking to a friend today, and we were talking about guys who have scored 5 goals in a game, and his name came up. So, yes. Follow up to Hall of Fame. That tells me we're honestly living in a great time for 410 sprint car racing. Larson, yes. Kyle Larson, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it's good. Sure. Do I think they rank with, if you want me to compare eras, it's really difficult because now everything's parity. Back in the day, you could build your own stuff. So there was innovation involved with it. I still think the 2000 World of Outlaws roster, go check it out. I think there were 9 Hall of Famers on that roster. So I don't think this time's any better than it used to be. But yes, it's a good time, and there are good drivers out there. I think we don't have a middle as much as we used to. I think that's where it maybe's not quite as good. And nobody's Steve Kinzer. I'm sorry, nobody's Steve Kinzer. Jeremy, do Knoxville Nationals and Kings Royal have contracts with Outlaws to sanction the event? Is it a 5-year deal? Could High Limits ever get one of those contracts? It's not. I don't think it goes where you up 5 years with them. I don't think that's how it works. I think it's a year-to-year thing. I think some contracts aren't even signed. I know for a fact that happens where there's not even, it's just you're on the schedule, they show up, there it is. It's very loose. It's not like, real world business where everything's tidied up, with lawyers and everything like that. Do I think High Limit gets the Kings Royal? I think the only way that happens is if Flo would ever buy Eldora from Tony, and I don't think Tony's selling. And Knoxville, I find they're very pro Outlaws, and we see that with the schedule. I just think that's an uphill battle to get either one of those shows at this point. So I don't think it's a contractual thing. I think it's just what those tracks are used to and where their allegiances lie. Eldora is unique in that it just rides the line and does both of them. And they can get away with it. Not every track can do that. So I think High Limits for now is content to build the Joker's jackpot and kind of have that same week and just make it a blowout affair with the Outlaws at Eldora. I don't think it's as petty or as kind of back and forth as we think it is. Not right now. So we'll see. We'll see how that develops down the road as kind of we get into this deal. Is Brady Baking doing the same deal he did in 2025? Seems him and Shawn Michaels struggled with the wing sprint while he thrived in the normal in his normal wing sprint. Yes, they are doing the same. He will be in the 20 car in central Pennsylvania at times, splitting splitting his efforts with the 21 out in the Midwest. So, yep, he will definitely be in the 20. Now, I think he's going to do more non-wing stuff this year. They have some little series that are starting to pay better. I talked to him at PRI, and I could see him doing a little more non-wing racing than last year. So don't be surprised if, I could see him running that 20 car there. How's it going, Jeremy? It's going okay. What number do you think the second KKR car is going to run for Kane and Sweet? 449, 9K or other? I think the Pursley deal will be 9. I don't know what Casey's going to be. I could see it being 4. I don't know what the number. I don't know what number. I don't think it'll be the 49. I don't think we'll see that. So it'll be interesting. But I don't know what Pursley's going to run. I saw the 9. I heard 9, and then I've heard different things. Jeremy, based on your interview with Dirt Tracker, can you expound on your opinion that sprint car ticket prices are too high for fans? Yeah. I've said in the past that we're lucky because concert tickets are more. Sporting events are more. And actually, this is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Here's the difference. How many people go to 20 concerts a year? Not many. So when I say now that ticket prices are getting too high, it's not because I'm backing down on my previous statement. We've had it good, meaning fans, for a long time. The problem is there's so many races to go to that when you raise prices, it's a bigger effect. That's the difference. And I think if you're a family of 4, and let's say you live in central Pennsylvania or even Wisconsin, and the ticket prices are $45 and you go to 10 shows, well, now you're talking $450 a person. Now you're starting to get too pricey. So yes, while an individual football game, if you go to an NFL game, it could be anywhere from $60 to $150 or wherever, or more if you sit down at the 50 or, I go to hockey. I sat in a lower bowl last Tuesday at a Pittsburgh Penguins Edmonton Oilers game for, I think it was about 140 each seat. That's only 3 sanctioned races. Whereas if there's 17 of them in the area, and now you didn't even get into the local shows like Speed Week. So I think it's the volume plus the price. So it's not that I'm backing down on my statement that it's in line with other sports and we have it good. We do have it good. But when you start adding the number of races up, it becomes too much. So there's a breaking point and something's got to give. And it's a question of what gives. So I think these sanctioned shows, which is high limit in the World of Outlaws, going to 45, 50, whatever, up in that range, I think it's very dangerous. So I saw our Vikings tickets are $140. Yeah, you're not going to 17 games. And I think that's where it gets into a problem. So I don't know what the tipping point is, but I do think we're getting to that point when it comes to the cost of tickets. And I think the clientele's different in racing. Dirt track racing, I don't think there's a ton of disposable income across the board. So I think that's an issue too. I don't know. We'll see how it develops, but it is a concern of mine. Where's that line where you're crossing it and it's too much? I won the tickets at 8 p.m. Thank you very much. I love Baps. Baps is great. Colton Gauss called me before the show and wanted to do something, and we're actually 8 minutes away from giving away more tickets. So Thank you to Colton. And yes, Babs does a great job. It's one of my favorite tracks. Breakout year driver from each, Woo and High Limit. Tanner Thorson won 2 High Limit races. That one's easy. On the Outlaws side, I hate saying Bill Baylog because he's been around so long. He's won IRA races, champion many times over. But from a World of Outlaws standpoint, he won 3 times this year. The previous year, it was 1. I'd say Bill Baylog jumps to the top of the page there. What do you think about different prices for different seats like other sports or concerts? I mean, I'm okay with it. I think the bigger thing I'd like to see is bundle tickets. I've mentioned this before. I go to the Hershey Bears hockey games. You can buy tickets for 12 games, 18 games, 36 games, and then season tickets. I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see racing get creative a little bit. And there's just not a lot of creativity in racing, that's for sure. Hell, in central Pennsylvania, I think there's only one track that I think another track is. They're starting to come around, but there's really only one track that, as of last year, that did credit card sales. Are you kidding me? So they're a little late to the party. Racing normally is. Also, it is pretty common for up-and-coming drivers to drive their own or family-owned cars until a national team hires them, then parks that car. Examples, Holmes, Wise, and PPM. Sure. Yeah, I mean, that is the case. And I'm sure you're referencing Caleb Montgomery. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if somebody picks him up. I don't know if he wants to travel around the country. I don't know what he desires. I do know Joseph Terrell on SprintCarUnlimited.com is catching up with him, and it'll be interesting to see what he says about it. So, because I'm sure Joseph will ask him. But yeah, I mean, he might definitely get a look from somebody. Williams Grove, I had to go to the office and they ran my credit card and gave me cash so I could go buy a ticket. No ATM on site. I've seen an ATM there. It must not have been working. Again, that's terrible. And that, again, it just shows how far racing is behind. I go to a hockey game. It's even AHL, which is right below the NHL. Everything's cashless. So 9,000 people show up there a night. It's not like Podunk. Hershey Bears is the highest attended team. They have the highest attendance in the AHL. I don't know any tracks around here that get 9,000 weekly. So just saying. For the midweek Lincoln shows, the May and July midweek shows are normal handicapped shows, while the late September shows time trials so they could draw some outsiders, not to handicap shows. No, it's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to draw them before Williams Grove. Guys are coming in for the National Open. I don't think they're going to run Lincoln. I just don't. Do you think the Chiefs moving to Kansas will be better for the organization? I don't think it means anything. It is the biggest non-story ever. Who's going to be the crew chief on the 8 car? At last I checked, I talked to Lance out in a PRI, and I think he's going to do it. I think he's just going to have helpers, and he knows what to do with the car, and he's content to go that direction. So I don't think there'll be a formal crew chief. Are there Australian teams paying for the American drivers to come over to race? I think in some cases, yes. In some cases, yes. Who is your Super Bowl matchup prediction? Mine is Bears and Steelers. Go with God, Sugar Bear. Go with God. Neither of those teams make it. I do not. I think the AFC is. I think the NFC is better. AFC. God, it's such a. That is wide open. I don't think there's one team standing out in the AFC. I have to think about that. NFC, still like the Rams, especially when Devontae Adams comes back. I think they're the most well-rounded team. Any word on who Sweet will be racing for? I wouldn't be surprised if it was Paul Silva. W car 57, whatever number you want to put on it. I have a feeling it'll be in and around what Larson does. Just my thought. It's confirmed Persley will be in the 9. That's what I was told, but things change. I don't know what case he'll be in. I doubt it'll be the 49. I don't see that happening. Any USAC drivers potentially switching to wing sprints? Not this year. USAC actually is raising their purses a little bit, and they're putting little mini series together. So I think USAC's starting to kind of pick up the pace there, and they got to keep their drivers. I mean, at this point, because it just pays so well in the winged ranks that I don't. You're soon you're not going to have a series. So I don't see anybody making the jump this year. And the other thing is just rides available. There aren't a lot of rides out there at this point for guys to land. So I don't see any coming over. Maybe a 1-off, 2-off, something like that, but not full time. Jeremy, do you think sprint cars should have a cheap ticket option where you sit on a hill or have a less area to stand and watch for maybe $10? Obviously, that is going to be track centric, meaning the track's got to have some kind of hill or area like that. I think that's okay, but as long as it meets insurance. The problem is too, there's so many insurance obligations for racetracks right now, and there's really only 3 companies. So I think that's an issue. You got to watch the standing on the hill thing. But yeah, I'm not opposed to any kind of unique way of pricing things to get more people in your venue. The most expensive seat is the empty seat. And I've seen so many examples in the last year where people have a set amount they're going to spend. It doesn't matter how they spend it. They're either going to spend it at the gate, or they're going to spend less to get in the gate and spend it at the refreshment stand or the souvenir stand. I've said this many times. People will spend a certain amount of money. Your job's to get it. And the smart way to do it is get it with your concessions and other amenities, so to speak, other than your front gate. Because if people can't buy a hot dog, they're not going to go. They're just not. You know, they don't want to be tapped out at the front gate. So I'm not opposed to anything you could do to get people in your venue. Are you surprised how far sprint car racing and your career have come in the last 30 years? My career. Sprint car racing. Let me answer the simple one. My career started at the newspaper, and I was covering anything from high school sports and up to the NFL, and now I do my own thing. I've been around racing since I was 5. Yes, I never thought I'd be covering some of the things that I've covered and some of the athletes I've covered in my life. So I'm very thankful for that. Sprint car racing, I don't think it's that drastically different. I just think it's shifted. This is going to be an unpopular opinion. I remember going to the Grove when there were a lot of people in the stands. I think now those people only show up for specials. And then I think they stay home and watch it otherwise, because you can also watch High Limit, World of Outlaws, USAC, whatever's going on in California. Saturday night's a perfect example. If you're a regular at Lincoln, I think you could stay home and watch Port, High Limit, World of Outlaws, USAC, all that stuff. So as a track, you're competing with everybody every night. So I don't know if there's a ton more fans. I just think it's shifted. The big events do very, very well, and people like to cherry pick the big events. I saw something on the Dome. Oh, streaming, yeah, it must hurt. See, it doesn't hurt. Well, yeah, stupid. It's a special. It's a special in the middle of December. Okay. Of course it's going to do well. That's like saying the Knoxville Nationals did well. How about the weekly show in the middle of nowhere when it's a 50% chance of rain? How's that one doing? How about Lincoln on a regular Saturday night, or Port Royal on a regular Saturday night, or Williams Grove on a regular Saturday night? How are those doing? See, it's easy to cherry pick it and cherry pick an Outlaws event or a High Limit event. And you can't do that. Don't tell me the Kings Royal's full and everything's great. Well, yeah, the Kings Royal's been full for how many years? And people will always go to those big events. But they'll do it at the cost of the local show. So I just think things have shifted. I think streaming has helped bring some more fans into the sport. But I don't think it's drastic. Because, again, I'm old enough to remember going to Williams Grove, Lincoln, not so much Port Royal at that time. I remember going to Sealands Grove, and all these tracks and the crowds were good. So I just think there's been a shift on how people consume it. And obviously the numbers on streaming and all that. I do think there's an audience. Maybe it's grown a little bit, but I don't think it's so drastic. So I know that's not popular to say, but I think it's reality. It's 8:30. Call now for your chance to win tickets to BAPS, $5 Keystone Nationals. Yes. Just give your address to Eric and they will be shipped off to you. $5 for 10 sprints. Can't beat that. It's a regular show. Should be a good car count. Bob on line 2. Bob, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I was just curious. I haven't heard nothing about Ryan Timms' plans this year.
That's because he's going to do the same thing. He's going to run, pick and choose. I don't think you're going to have them join a national tour. Last I talked to Shane Liebig, they weren't going to do that. I think they got some more sponsorship this year, but I don't think that's going to make them go on a national tour or commit to a national tour.
What's the chances Axum does the same thing, just doesn't join the tour?
I can only go by talking to him at World Finals, and he said he was choosing between a national tour. He had to get a crew chief, and I know they were working on that. So maybe his plans have changed. Maybe he's going to kind of feel it out a little bit. Maybe go to Volusia the first time and then make a decision. I'm unsure on that. But as of World Finals, he hoped to join a national tour, just needed a crew chief.
Okay, and my final question.
Go ahead.
Who's your national champion in college football?
Ohio State. That's that I want to. That's not what I want, but that's who I think is going to win it.
I think Georgia might sneak in there and get them all, but who knows?
Yeah, it's wide open. Georgia's good. I don't look at this Georgia team and see the ones I saw in the past where they were dominant up front. I think you can move the ball on them. Ohio State just seems like they get in these playoffs and they look really good. Whether it was 4 teams, 2 teams, now 12 teams, it just seems like they turn the switch, so to speak. And I hate to say it, I don't want to see it, but I have a feeling Ohio State again.
Yeah, you're probably right. And my last question: How many races do you think Larson will do this year?
I think it'll be about the same, 25 to 30, like 30, maybe 32, 33. It's going to miss the Nationals this year because it moved. But I think you'll see the same number he normally does, anywhere from 25 to 35, depending on rainouts. And when the chase starts, he'll cut it off because that's what he has to do. And I think, and I think he'll win probably a third of them like he normally does.
And I guess you're not going to Australia for the.
No, I'm not going to Australia. I mean, I have a daughter, and I like spending Christmas with her. I'm not doing that.
Who do you think will win over there?
Give me Rico.
Okay, well, I guess that's all I had. Thanks for taking the call.
Anytime,
Good show.
Anytime, Bob. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do any of the tracks in Central PA offer season tickets? I see the Mansfield is going to try it this year. Yes, they all do. They all, well, it's a reserve seat for the year, and I think you also get season tickets, but they won't include like the Outlaws or something like that. There is a deal where you can get a season ticket, but it's always changing. That's the weird thing. It's always changing. I don't always understand that. I wish Woo would have discounted tickets if you are an annual Dirt Vision subscriber. Not a bad. Here's the thing, though, and everybody needs to understand this when it comes to anything you're selling. As long as people buy it, they're going to continue to upcharge. What is the benefit if you're packing the stands? What is the benefit of going with a lower ticket price? If everybody buys eggs, they're going to keep jacking up the price of eggs. It's supply and demand. Now, is every Outlaw show packed? No. Is every high limit show packed? No. But they get good enough crowds that they set the price, and that's what it is. And I also think it depends on venue. Like the Grove's been cheaper for World of Outlaws events than Lincoln for years. And the reason is because they have more seats. They have 8,000 seats there. Lincoln doesn't have that. So you kind of do it on how many seats to fill as well, so you can make your nut to cover, expenses, plus make a profit. So that also comes into it, the size of the venue. What is PPM doing in 2026? I talked to him at the end of last year, and he really liked his schedule. He liked having time at home. I would expect him to do the same thing as he did last year, which is Bernie's car. I think the schedule suit him. He ran, 50 races, something like that. I think I checked that earlier today because he was 25th on my list. So, he ran 55 races last year. So I think that's all he really wants to do. And he had a good time with Bernie. Jeremy, have you talked to any drivers or teams about their thoughts on Woo Racing at Belleville in 2026? I have not. I will tell you I'm concerned about it. It's fast. So but no, I have not I've not talked to any teams yet about that. Buddy beats gravel this year for the championship. I think it happens in 2027. I still have gravel this year. I think Buddy is going to be the best driver in the sport at some point here. But I do think he needs more laps at Volusia, Knoxville, the Grove, and Eldora. Those 4 tracks he's not overly good at. Eldora, I think Eldora only has 3 races. So that might be his worst one. But he needs to get better at Volusia. He needs to get out of Volusia, excuse me, better than he has in the past. It's critical. So if he's going to beat gravel, he needs to get off to a good start. I think in 2027, that's when that happens. Do you expect a bigger schedule for the Hybrider 19 car now that Ian Madsen is driving? Seems like that team only runs 25, 30 shows max. I could see a few more, yes. I definitely could see a few more with Ian in the car. Ian making a big comeback. Glad to see it. Will silly season start this year in April? No, not April. June, July, same as always. I'll roll into King's Royal Week, and something will materialize. You know, where somebody's getting booted, or I'll start to hear rumors, and then it'll happen. June or July, late June, July. That's usually when it starts now. April. Don't do that to me. Jeremy, can you expound on the track insurance costs and liabilities? They have something called a loss run report. So anytime there's a claim against the track for whatever, it goes on that report. Obviously, there's a rating, and if the rating gets worse and worse, then insurance is a problem. The biggest issue is there used to be 10 insurance companies. Now there's only about 3. So the cost varies, but you do spread it out over a 12-month period. So now here's something to think about. Tracks are off now, but they're still paying insurance. They're still paying any salaries. They're still paying. They still have overhead like any business, even though they're not making money. Other than off-season, season tickets, reserve seats, parking, whatever they charge for. So I just know that there are some tracks, some prominent tracks, who struggled to get insurance last year. As far as the liability insurance, I think it's up to 1 million, 2 million. I've heard different things from the companies. They want you to, like, the Outlaws will come in, they want you to have a certain threshold of insurance. So, but it costs. And that loss run report, that determines your fate, so to speak. If you have a bunch of claims against you, or that's bad. And that's where it becomes dicey getting insurance. You don't have insurance, you can't operate. Now, do some operate without insurance? I'm sure. I'm not going to say I know of any. I do not know of any. But it wouldn't surprise me. It's a good 90 at 9 topic at some point. Sugar Bear's on a roll tonight. What is supposed to draw me to the PA Posse Sprint Series race at the Grove compared to a regular show there. Usually the same drivers every week. You said it. I don't. That's one of my problems with it. I don't know. There's nothing different. So that's where I think that's why I think it's too many races. It's 47. I think people might view it differently if it was 20 to 25. I also think it would give it some place to grow to. At 47 races, I don't think it's growing from a race standpoint. I've always believed that in business, and I know there's some business owners in the chat. When I started YouTube, I didn't come out with 4 shows. I started with the 90 at 9 and the deep dive. Then I added my interviews. Then I added Sprint Car, this show. So you always want to be adding. You never want to be retracting, just from a perception standpoint. So I agree with you. Look, I'm hoping the series works out. I just have my reservations about it. Can Hoosier make a better tire or different compounds so teams have more options to use? Yeah, they can. Now, I do think they shelved their they had some tire tests, had some different compounds. I think they shelved the initiative because of inventory. So maybe when they use up this inventory, they will offer up some different compounds. That's what I'm hoping for. I think teams, look, the costs are the costs, and I think teams are never going to be happy about paying $384 for a right rear. However, it's like a good steak. If the steak tastes really good or the food's good, you'll be willing to pay more for it. You might not like it, but you'll do it. If a $20 steak is tough, but you get this really good steak for $50, yeah, you won't like it, but you'll be like, okay, I know why it's $50. I think if Hoosier had different compounds and there were choices, I think guys would feel better about paying that price for a right rear. I don't think they'd like it. They would probably still complain, but I think it would be better than it is now. With the Rico deal with TSR, has it always been Tony's business model to absorb a driver's team and package when they're hired? It seemed to be the case with Schatz and Kinzer when they drove for them. I don't like, they had Craig Kinzer. I think they had Paul McMahon at one time. They did a 2-car team deal as well, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering that correctly, through the 2000s. I don't think it's that they absorbed Schatz. Schatz still had his stuff. I think they just switched everything to his program, which only made sense because of Ricky and so on and so forth. So this just made sense because I think TSR is in a different spot than they've ever been in. Remember, TSR came out and won the World of Outlaws title. So I think this is probably the low point of TSR last year, the last 2 years. I think it's the lowest TSR has probably been. So it made sense to bring Rico in and get Ricky back in the fold. I just think this was kind of a unique situation. Steve was just wrapping up the end of his career. Let's be honest. The Steve Kinzer I remember isn't the Steve Kinzer when he was at TSR. Not even near it. So I just think it fit. It made sense. And it made sense for Rico too at this point. More testing, more resources to do that kind of stuff. And obviously Ricky and everything else. So Jeremy is a $50 steak kind of guy. I've paid $50 for a steak. I've paid more for a steak. In fact, when I was at PRI, I paid more for a steak. I did have pork belly for the first time out in a PRI. I've never had it. I watch these chef shows sometimes, and they cook a lot with pork belly. I've never had it, so I tried it. It was good. It had a Korean barbecue sauce on it and some sesame seeds, had a real kick to it. It was an appetizer. It was really, really, really good. So, not to get off the rails here, but look, I don't mind paying for something if it's good. It's when it's not good that I have a problem. PA Posse Series has potential, but need to make fixes to make it work or improve for season 2 if there is one. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, no matter what you do, it's going to be retracting. And that's kind of where I just think that, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. That's about the best. That's what I can say about it. I'm hoping for the best. There's my holiday cheer. 98.9 best food of 2025. From a track standpoint, that will be Wisconsin, and that will be Eldora Speedway always. Uh, 274 watching, only 54 likes. Come on, everyone, let's hit the like button. Love this guy. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was surprised. 281. I mean, that's not bad in the off season. I'll take it. A lot of people busy this week with Christmas. Jeremy, please push the sport to end the work area. Look, I've been complaining about the work area for years. They're not going to listen to me. I think they honestly believe it adds to the show. I think they believe that. I think they believe that if Sheldon Hodenshield or David Gravel or another driver is in the work area and comes out, they think that reaction means that it's good. I've never heard a fan walk out at the end of the night and say, boy, that work area was great tonight. I've never heard that. Never. So, but they're not going to change it. It's here to stay. What's your take on Lincoln's 2026 schedule? It's okay. I would like to see more oomph with the local schedules, honestly. But no, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'd say the same about the Grove. I just like to see a little more. It's kind of repetitious at this point. If we're going to shake things up with a series, let's shake up the schedule a little bit. But it's fine. I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I'm a little curious about the Wednesday shows. That'll be interesting. And also 2 shows, the 2 starting weekends, like the Icebreakers Saturday, Sunday, which it's been, but then they did the same thing the following week. I think that's curious. So we'll see how it turns out. Little curious how that goes. Who wins more 410 races, Larson or Corey Day? Kyle Larson. He'll win a third of his. Copeland in the Tarleton car. Yep, we had that on SprintCarUnlimited.com. He's going to run a few races when McFadden's not in it. I'm getting texts. Jeremy, when was the peak years of sprint car racing? In the future, linear or decline or increase? That's a tough question. The peak years, I think for racetracks, 80s and 90s. I think that I remember going and You'd get there an hour early at the Grove on a Friday night. I had to get there. Excuse me. I had to get there. I would leave school. I'd have my grandfather drive me up to meet my father at 4:30, and we'd get to the track at 5. Just to get in the front lot properly, to get a parking spot. Now we don't see that as much. So I think from a track standpoint, I think it's the 80s and 90s. I think things were cheaper. I think, from a cost standpoint, your cost for the track. And I just think the fans, I just think it was higher. For drivers and teams, it's now. Look at the costs are higher, but look at what you're getting paid. Buddy Kofoid made $833,000 last year. Anthony Macri made $541, and what was he, third on the money list? Rico was second. Gravel. I mean, they're making some big money. So from a driver and team standpoint, it's now. It's now. You have an arms race between tracks locally in Pennsylvania, and then you have an arms race between High Limit and the World of Outlaws with purses and whatnot. So I think tracks, 80s, 90s, teams, now. And fans, as far as racing, I think it's pretty much the same. The only difference is, I think people got to remember when you had handicap shows back in the 80s and 90s and whatnot, you had haves and have-nots. There was a bigger gap between the haves and have-nots because you built your own stuff, or you could build your guys had advantages. So you could start a guy 15th and he'd come through the field. You can't do that now. You can have a half-assed driver put it on the cushion and drive away from people. So I think, but I do think we have some good racing now. I saw good racing last year. And I think we had good racing back then. So I think it's a push from that standpoint. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock and your final chance. Yes. Call in, get tickets. Thank you, Eric, for putting that up there. Just call in to get two $5 tickets to the Keystone Nationals at Babs Motor Speedway, June 7th. It is 410 Sprint Car Show, regular show. So you'll get a full program. I expect a good car count. Should be a good one. What racetrack should the National Touring Series visit that they aren't? And on the flip side, which track should the National Series axe from the schedules? What track would I like to see him add? I've seen him a lot of places, so they're there already. I think they hit on. I don't think I can add one that I know of right now. Which one should they axe? I think that's yet to be determined. I think both schedules have. They got rid of Riverside. That needed to happen. So I think that's the last one where I looked at it and said, ooh, really sketchy. Ooh, not good. So I have to see all the tracks, and I have not seen all of them on the schedules. Meaning I haven't been there. So that's tough. That's such a tough question. Because I don't know what track I'd like to see them at. Because they've been to the ones most of the ones that I've been to. So I can't think of any off the top of my head. Can't think of any off the top of my head. Get back to me on that one. You're absolutely correct about cherry picking the big events. Streaming has killed the weekly show. I don't think streaming is. Look, we could all say that's the main culprit, but it's not all of it. I mean, some of it's supply and demand. If you raise prices on 30 shows, something's got to give. They're going to pick the shows where they see the best guys, sanctioned events. So I don't think it's all streaming. But I do think streaming for a weekly show has not always been positive. I feel very fortunate to do pay-per-view for Baps Motor Speedway. There's 10 events. It works. If I had a regular track like a Lincoln, I would not do every race because I just don't think that would be profitable. And I unless we do a package for the fans just for that track. But I just feel fortunate to do BAPS. We have 10 races. It's perfect. Everybody does well on it. His fan counts up. His car counts up. He does okay in pay-per-view as well. It all works. I think there's a place for everything. I just think you need to find that line and that box to be in. Did you hear of any Central PA teams that usually run one night a week that are now going to run the PA? No. No. I think there's only going to be 2 or 3 guys who run the whole series. So that would be a big no on that one. And I've talked to probably 10 to 15 guys if you go up and down the Hoseheads deal. And the other teams, they don't have the finances to run more. Why don't more tracks do more non-racing events to cover operation costs? I think that's a good question. If I had a racetrack, I would do Christmas stuff. I would be an all-purpose venue, entertainment venue. So I agree with you. I think that's the future. Unless you're Eldora, because you have the Dream, the World, the King's Royal, you kill it. So, I mean, unless you have a venue like that. But otherwise, I think that's the future is to do multi-entertainment, just multi-purpose entertainment venue. Buddy won the prelim of the National Open in 24 and quietly finished 5th and 6th in both Grove shows in 25. Trending in the right direction. Yes, but he will even admit he's not good enough there. 5th and 6th are nice, but David has bad nights at the Grove, surprisingly. But he also wins there. And yes, Buddy won a day show, and it was an amazing performance. He was awesome. But he even admits he needs to get better at the Grove. He feels it's one of his worst tracks. How come Sealands Grove doesn't have a World of Outlaws or High Limit show in 2026? Probably because they don't seat a lot of people. How many do you think they seat there? It's not as many as you think. You need 3,500 to 3,500 to make an Outlaws or High Limit show work. That's roughly the number. Tough time getting that in there. So, is there a NARC schedule out yet? Not yet. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff released on NARC in the next 2 weeks or so. Just watched your interview on Dirt Trackers YouTube with Justin and thought it was a great conversation. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Like I said, I always enjoy doing this show. Are you surprised Lincoln is trying Wednesday shows when the BAPS Wednesday shows was less than stellar? BAPS moved that. That was they tried it. They had it on a Sunday. They moved it to a Wednesday. I think it was a little bit of a different animal. It wasn't on the schedule the entire year. People couldn't plan for it. So I think it's a little different. That's a little bit of an unfair comparison. But I'm not a big fan of the Wednesday deal before big events when people are going to choose to spend money at the big events on the weekend, aka High Limit, World of Outlaws, so on and so forth. So, especially July, you got a lot of big money shows that time of year, and I just don't know if people have the money to do it. And if it even drips, if it's a 50% chance of rain, I'm pulling the plug on that one. To add on the sentiment of the sport not necessarily growing, I too remember weekly shows at the Grove and Lincoln being way more packed. Bobby Abel Memorial in 2004 comes to mind with a record crowd. Yeah, I think it's shifted. I think it's easier to stay home now. You don't have to deal with heat, rain, cold, whatever, and you get to watch everything else. You know, High Limit, World of Outlaws, you can take in 4 or 5 races a night. And really, if you buy Dirt Vision at $400, you buy Flow at what, 175 or whatever it is now, that's $575. I mean, divide that by 20. Look at 20, 24 shows. That's 24 races that you go to. Hell, in Pennsylvania, that's not even a third of the season. So, yeah, I think it's just shifted. I don't think it's this big windfall of growth that maybe is portrayed. How many Posse Tour races will you miss? Probably 4. I'll miss 4. I will be at more shows than probably 95% of the drivers in central Pennsylvania. Over under on how many times does Danny Dietrich ruffle feathers on social media in 2026? I can't even begin to pinpoint that because I just don't know how many feathers get ruffled. So, with what he's talking about. Look, it usually happens 2-3 times a year that it's kind of an uproar, but look, he knows what he's doing. He sells a lot of t-shirts and that's part of the business. And he does a good job using social media to get people riled up. So he keeps it interesting. Media getting mulligans. I do not believe mulligans. I just not going. That's it. Or I'm going to be someplace else. I'll actually probably miss more because I'll either be Vegas, or I'll be at Kings Royal, or I'll be at Knoxville. I'll miss more than 4 actually, because I'll be traveling a bit. If you want to call that a mulligan, go ahead. I don't believe in mulligans. It's funny though. I like that. For the big events, which one do you think has the best special format? Kings Royal. Kings Royal is my favorite track. I mean, Eldora is my favorite track. I love that event. Unless it rains, the format works. The format has proven to work. They usually have the track where you can make moves in heat races. In order to have that format, you have to be able to pass. You have to be able to make up ground if you're starting 5th, 6th, 4th, whatever it is. So to me, it's Kings Royal. I love it. I love Knoxville's too. I don't have a problem with it. Just Wednesday, it seems like it's tougher to pass. But I'm a big Kings Royal guy. So Jeremy, will Tanner Thorson win 5 high limit races in 2026? Ooh. 5. won 2 this year. He continues to improve. I'm going to say 3 or 4. Let's say 3 or 4. That's tough. That's really tough. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. Recently, we have seen Phillip Rivers make the NFL return and not look too shabby. We can agree to disagree on that. Could we ever see such a return after a long absence in sprint car racing? It's sprint car racing is really here today, gone tomorrow. And if you're out of the loop, you seem to get forgotten in a hurry. As far as the Phillip Rivers thing, I watched the game last night, watched every snap. If he gets any pressure, it's an incompletion. He can't handle pressure anymore because he can't move. And he can't even take a step back. He's fat for a quarterback. Okay, that's just the way it is. I thought the 49ers were willing to give him underneath stuff all night long to stop Jonathan Taylor. It was nice. It's a nice story. And I was mildly impressed that he could still function, but I'm not blown away. And I do think people are making it a bigger story than what it really is. Call me a curmudgeon, but last night, some of those throws were bad when he had even the remotest pressure. I just some inaccuracies there. Why don't more tracks have better marketing to grow revenue? The right marketing person will pay for themselves tenfold. Should be a no-brainer. Am I wrong on this? I don't think you're wrong. I think racing, again, is 15 years behind the curve. I just think that, like, you look at the pro sports, stick and ball sports, and they're doing so much content. They have teams of marketing people, and they just see the value in it, and it's a monster. I mean, the NFL is a monster. Hockey, I walked through a hockey arena last week, and countless employees. I think some of it's money. I think tracks don't want to spend the money. We can make the argument that they'd be worth their weight tenfold. But you can't hire a team unless you're Eldora, Knoxville, or one of the big ones. So if you get one person, maybe run it on commission. That's what I would try and do. I'd try and run them on commission because then they have to work hard for their paycheck, but is somebody going to do that full time? I think it's also what you're selling. So I do agree. I don't think you're wrong. I just think a lot of tracks don't want to make that leap. What kind of schedule can we expect out of Brock Zierfoss? Pick and choose. I think it's going to look a lot like Anthony Macri. At least that's what I'm told now. Unless they get another sponsor, then I think they'll hit the road with a national series. So, but otherwise, right now, I think you're looking at a pick and choose schedule that's very similar to that 39M. Have you ever had to leave a major story? This is a great question. Have you ever had to leave a major story on the cutting room floor due to a change in the story? And if so, can you share what that story was? I assume you're talking about the 60 Minutes deal, which was the biggest travesty in the history of journalism. It's state-run media. This isn't me picking one side over the other. If something is checked 5 times over by attorneys and somebody doesn't want to comment, it's such and such failed to or wouldn't comment, failed to comment, had no interest in commenting. That story should have ran on 60 Minutes. It was checked by 5 lawyers. Stop it. That was a travesty. I've had a story. I will tell you this. I've had a story where I've interviewed somebody and didn't believe a word they said and never ran it. Because I knew that it wasn't legit. So I won't run it. There is a BS factor that I have. Trying to think if there's one that changed. I'm trying to think if I'm trying to remember when it changed. I've had it in other sports. I've had it. I've had that, but in racing, not now, because you kind of have to run it by the team when you can announce it. So it's pretty controlled, which I'm not a big fan of. And in fact, I never had to go to the general manager of the Eagles and say, hey, can I run with this? I just did it. So, but no, it happens. There are changes in stories. And then the internet's really cleaned that up too, because you could just go in and change it. When it was in print, I've had a couple blow up that way. There was a coaching change once in high school wrestling, and I wrote about it. He was fired, and then the next day they pulled him back. I was stuck. So I wrote another story. Luckily, they admitted that they hired him back after firing. So I caught a break there. That was one that happened. But very few times. I usually check things over and over and over again, obsessively. So, good question. Jeremy, who did you not believe and the story wasn't legit? I will say it was a track promoter. Track owner, actually. A track owner in the East. That's what I'll say. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. And I'm just going to say that I might have pulled their tax returns and knew they were lying because they're public. So, yes, I will go that far. Why is the 60-minute story you're referencing? That's the one about the CCOT prison from this past week. They cut the segment. Jeremy, have you ever had a driver or owner or crew get tough guy with you and assault you? I've had some very tense moments. I had one years ago at Silver Spring Speedway where I wrote something about a team and the guy came around and he was yelling and screaming at me. I thought he was going to kill me. It was very early on. It was like 1997. I also had Deval Dressler yell at me once. And he's a big Italian guy. Got like this far away from me and yelled at me. I thought that one was going to get bad. In both cases, I looked at him and said, sorry you didn't like it. And to this day, both those guys, I've talked to them, no problem. That's always the thing. I mean, Kyle Larson was mad at me over the Bristol thing, and he refused an interview at Bridgeport once, and it was fine. At that point, you be professional. I just said okay, and then we talked at Eldora, and it was fine. All I care about is that I'm fair, and the person can't say I was factually incorrect. That is always the key. So they might not like it. I've had football players. I thought Ed Reed from the Baltimore Ravens was going to kill me. I questioned their secondary. They gave up 300 yards 2 weeks in a row. And if you know anything about the Ravens, their defense is really good at the time. And it was an odd occurrence. They won, but Robert Griffin torched him. And it was like the second or third week in a row. And I said, hey, Ed, is there, what's going on with secondary? Is it a communication issue or is it a schematic issue? And he just stared at me. So I've had instances, not a lot, because I think guys know I'm just trying to do my job. Sometimes it's not always going to be positive. I try and be fair, and I try to be factually correct. I have even guys who have been mad at me, I don't have trouble interviewing them. So, even Kyle, Kyle and I are good. We've talked many times since then. So, and it's his prerogative. Any driver can refuse an interview. I don't hold it against him. It's not personal. It's just, he's just doing a job. When does the Axum news get dropped? I don't know what he's going to do yet. I would assume probably after the holiday. I have no idea. Don't know which way he's going to go yet. Are the ruts in the track a nuisance, or does it add to the racing? Your thoughts? I like character. I think there's a reason California drivers dominate the top 10 in the sport. I think because the tracks out there have character, and I think it makes them better drivers. Simple as that. I think those guys come out, and I think those guys come out of California, and these tracks are easy for them. So, to me, no, I don't want it to be rutted up and dangerous, but I don't want it to be where they're hopping all over the place, through the corners and on the straightaways. But character's good. That's what I like about BAPS. I think that track has more character than any in central Pennsylvania. So I like that. If it was Ray Lewis, look out. He has been there, done that. Actually, Ray Lewis was very easy to deal with. Never had a problem. In fact, I had a one-on-one with him about his high school wrestling background, and he was happy to talk about it. I had good experiences with Ray Lewis. Jeremy, what races outside of PA do you plan to attend in 2026? As of now, probably Vegas, Kings Royal, Knoxville Nationals, Charlotte. I'd like to go to the West Coast. I'd really like to go to the West Coast. And I'd like to go one other place. So, but as of now, I'll be in Florida. Stupid me, forgot that. So yeah, I'll be at Volusia. I'll be hopefully Vegas, Kings Royal, Knoxville, Charlotte. That's as of now, but I think there'll be a couple others. How about a 410 wheelie contest every now and then at a race to hype the crowd? Todd Fisher did that at Susquehanna Speedway Park. The problem is then he started doing it all the time and it wore it out. Look, if guys are willing to do it, maybe do it twice a year. So yeah, it was a big hit when he did it, but then it did it too much, I think. Todd Fisher, by the way, had a lot of great ideas and kind of changed some things. People don't give him enough credit. Jeremy, on your interview with Dirt Tracker, you said most who cover sprint cars are fans and not true journalists. Can you expound? You want me to expound on a lot, or should say expand on a lot. I just think a lot of guys get in it. They have no training. I think they're fans. To me, you don't wear a driver's T-shirt at all. Because if you have a dispute between two drivers on the track and you're wearing the one's T-shirt, how can you get both sides? Kind of looks fishy. So if you're wearing driver T-shirts, it's very unprofessional where I come from. That's just me. because, being at a newspaper. So, you gotta act a certain way. So fans of the sport, it doesn't work. I think it's very difficult. Now, look, I'm a fan of sprint car racing. I have guys who I've cheered for over the years. Nobody can name them. And I have written plenty about guys who maybe I didn't like over the years. So, you just got to be fair. And I think there's a lot of fans out there. I think there's a lot of guys covering who are fans. They want to get in free. They don't necessarily work on their craft. I read books because I want to learn more from other writers. And I'm 53 and have been writing since 1997. I certainly don't know it all. I certainly don't. I always am trying different things, styles, adding things. So I just think you got to be open to a lot of stuff. You can't be a fan boy, so to speak, where it's not easy to dedicate that much time to it. And it's hard, if you're a fan all these years and you get into it, it's hard to break that. I'm not saying it's easy, but there's some good ones out there. So maybe I missed this, but is Seatbelt going to run the 69K at all next year? I have not heard that yet. I have not heard anything from Kreitz on that yet. I think that could be a deal that's put together based on sponsorship or something like that. So I think that's yet to be determined. I got to write these down, so then check back with me next week. Merry Christmas from Alabama. 2 days till Christmas. Where's the merch? Come on, guys. I'm trying. I have talked to a couple t-shirt guys. I'm hoping to have something in the next month. Give me some time. I'm trying to pick through the best ones. Will the 69K come to Vegas? No idea yet. I don't think they know yet, but I'll definitely work on checking on that. Was Skagit affected by the flooding last week? I didn't hear anything. And again, I've been working on some other stuff. I had surgery on my hand. I could show you, but I don't want to make you discuss to all you guys. But so it's been a little, I've been kind of putting stuff out as I can. But I will check on what's going on. I don't think it was, but I don't know for sure. Happy Festivus from the rest of us. Thank you. Same to you. Jeremy, do you miss big-time journalism, NFL, NASCAR, et cetera, since switching to SprintCarUnlimited full-time? I miss the NFL. I miss covering high school wrestling in Pennsylvania because it is intense. It's one of the best states for high school wrestling. Obviously, Penn State being up the road helps that. And I really miss high school wrestling because it was such a high level, and state championships here was just a week-long rat race. And I really enjoyed that, diving into stories. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of long hours, but it was fun. So I like what I do now because I don't answer to anyone, and maybe I should. But no, I like what I do now. I like the challenge of trying to build this platform. Obviously, if it wouldn't be for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. But I like it's a challenge building SprintCarUnlimited.com, the YouTube stuff. And I'm always learning because I'm 53. So from a technology end, I'm definitely not a 25-year-old. So I like learning things. I like so I like the variety, but I do miss covering stuff at the newspaper. It was fun, and there were a different set of rules there. Show us the hand. There you go. I just took the wrapping off today, so it's gross and it hurts, but it's getting better. What's the best crew chief in the sport right now, or who's the best crew chief in the sport right now? Who would you hire for your team? I think Ricky Warner is still the best. I think an up and coming guy. I think if you're going to go age, Dylan Buswell, I think is come along. I think he's really good. I think Philip Dietz is really good. Obviously, Paul Silva's good. I think you can't go wrong with any of those guys at this point. I'm interested to see how Tyler Swank does with Brenham Crouch. I'm interested to see how Barry Jackson does with Donnie Schatz. So, but the best right now, I mean, Ricky Warner, Philip Dietz, Dylan Buswell, obviously Cody Jacobs. You know, definitely can't discount Cody Jacobs. What he's put together at Big Game Motorsports puts him in that top category as well. So I think you got a lot of good crew chiefs now. And I think that's one thing we need more of. We need more young guys to kind of take the baton a little bit for the future of the sport. I think that's where we're lacking right now. Which Woo or High Limit teams are looking for main crew guys right now? I don't know if the CJB thing has everybody locked up yet. Obviously, Swank, I think it's him and another guy. I think they might. I don't know if they're looking for a third yet. I know Anthony Mack. I know it's not Woo or High Limit, but Anthony Macri's team, Macri Motorsports, is looking for someone. And that's like a World of Outlaws or High Limit team. I think that's probably the most prominent team looking right now. So I'd give them a call if you're interested. Has there been another driver like Larson who has no idea on working on the car but can drive the heck out of it? I think there's been a few over the years. They used to say that about Steve Kinzer. I don't know if I believed it. I think Steve just let Carl do his thing, which I would let Carl do his thing as well. Larson's just gifted. I think he could jump in anything and just go. He can win within a short amount of time. He's just that good. So I don't think there's many of those floating around. But I think over the years, there have been some guys. I mean, Buddy Kofoid will admit that, I mean, early on, he didn't. Now, he's learned a lot, and I think he's good at giving information now. But I think starting out, he was just super, super talented. And I think, again, I think he's going to be the best in the sport in a couple of years. STP Motorsports is looking for a car chief now that I've resigned my position and accepted an offer from another team. Just throwing that out there. If anyone is interested, contact Tyson Oakman. Okay, Bryce Lucius looking for crew help as well. Good deal. Thank you. What are your expectations for the Outlaws at Mansfield next year? Don't really know. I thought they'd wait a year to go there, see how the late models, how that went. But, I expect it to be okay. I expect them to work on it. I mean, they're not going to be there until, I think, October. So I think they'll work on it, and I think it'll be fine. Do you remember when Susky did school? I definitely remember the school bus races. And do you think it was worth it? It'd be worth it to bring a gimmick like that back every now and then? Yes. I don't know how insurance would feel about it, but the school bus races were great and they drew people. Boy, did they kill it. But then it started again too much. So I think you need to do it in small doses. And I think the key words is every now and then, and just keep switching it up or rotating it. $98.9 top 5 guys Jeremy doesn't like. I think it's you'll never see that. You'll never see that. Now when I walk through the pits, people might be, I wonder if he doesn't like me. No, most of the guys now, it was mostly back over the years. But no, I'm not doing that 98.9. You're definitely the best. Love the old school thought process. I appreciate that. I mean, at this rate, I'm not going to change it now. I think it's served me pretty well, and I'm just going to go with it and ride it as long as I can. Jeremy, have you thought about replacing the 98.9 alarm clock with a special edition Sprint Car Unlimited coffee cup? There is no alarm clock anymore. That was gone 2 months ago. Is it 2 months now, guys? A month and a half ago? Come on, buddy. You got to keep up. No, that alarm clock is gone. Gone. All right, a few more. If you had the chance to give a word of advice to the Chaz, what might it be? Less drinking and swearing. There you go. Less drinking and swearing. But I've told him that, so it's nothing that he hasn't heard. We did it. 100 likes. Great job, everyone. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who was your favorite all-time interview in racing and in the NFL and NHL? I didn't cover the NHL. I covered AHL and any goalie, because goalies are tremendous. The NFL, Ray Lewis, Bo Jackson, because Bo Jackson was my first interview ever, and that was the first interview. I was shaking. He commands the room. Bo Jackson, Ray Lewis, those are the two in the NFL. Peyton Manning, I had to. I'm so short, I had to get on a ladder to talk to him. Mike Tomlin's good. Very no nonsense. As far as racing, Donnie Schatz has always been good. Sammy Swindell. People don't like Sammy Swindell. He's shy. And I don't mean shy. He's just different. When you get Sammy Swindell talking, very engaging, very knowledgeable. Doug Wolfgang, I never interviewed, but I've seen a lot of interviews. Very no nonsense. But that I've done, Donnie Schatz is really good. I'll tell you what's with some deep dives. Steve Beitler was fantastic. I've had a lot of good deep dives, so it's really hard in racing. I've interviewed obviously more people in racing. Kyle Busch was fun to interview. Again, no nonsense. So those were good. Are you going to do the post-race shows at any of those tracks you named outside PA? I'd like to. I got to put together, once I get back, I shouldn't say get back, but over the next week or two, I'm going to sit down and map out another show or two for YouTube where it's consistently at the same time every week. I've had a couple suggestions, which I appreciate. I do see myself doing some post-race shows, definitely. I like doing them. I thought they were entertaining. So it was good. Jeremy Elliott needs to do a weekend recap show on Sunday nights like Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain. Yeah, that's a really good idea. My only hang-up is there's a lot of racing on Sunday, and I don't want to keep postponing shows. You have Speed Week. You lose 2 there. When I come back from Kings Royal in Knoxville, do I really feel like sitting? And those weeks are long. Not to be soft about it, but when I get back from Knoxville, the last thing I want to do is jump on a show that night. Because I usually don't go to bed Saturday. I usually leave the next morning at 6 a.m. and just stay up and write. So I don't want to have shows where I miss. Mondays may be a possibility. Is Monday work, Sugar Bear? Is that okay? Because Monday I could see working better because there's less races on a Monday. I have 10 shows at BAPS. There's Sundays. There's other shows on Sundays. They turn on you quick. Sugar Bear turned on me quick. But there's a lot of races on Sundays. So I'd hate to miss. Again, answer. Monday, is Monday okay? What's next? Sugar Bear. He turned on me quick in the comments. That's all it took. Jeremy, how long have you been full-time Sprint Car Unlimited? Since 2017. Who's the best crew chief in high limits beside Warner Silva? Stop saying, sorry, I was looking at the chat. Besides Ricky and Silva? Oh, it's Keith. It's Eric. It's Eric Prutzman. It's Eric Prutzman going away. How about the best crew chief currently in PA? Joe Mooney. Joe Mooney with Macri. Over under 1.5 wins. How many does Tanner Holmes get with Book? I think he's going to struggle in places outside of the West Coast. I'm going to say under. We should have a 2-day show at Charlotte during the early spring and summer. It's a shame that we don't use that facility more than one weekend a year. Imagine a Woo show on Friday and Saturday night and Cup All-Star Sunday. They used to do something at Charlotte and then they stopped. I don't know if it wasn't well attended or what the deal was, but they got rid of it. It was that Memorial Day weekend deal, and then they go to Lawrenceburg. So they had it, they got rid of it, and obviously there was a reason for that. I know the track at that time of year wasn't good. Didn't they have a race down there where like 3/4 of the field blew a tire? It just didn't work. So I'm good with what they got. Heard anything about a sprint car race on FS1 again in 2026? Aaron Reitzel's interviews are way more entertaining when on Flow or Dirt Vision than his FS1 interview. Yeah, I like interviewing Aaron Reitzel too, by the way. I think it's very genuine and you never know what's coming next. So I definitely like interviewing Aaron Reitzel. Yeah, I've heard that that's going to happen again, but I don't know for sure. I know Brad Sweet's talked about it. I think it's probably still being put together. Naughty or nice? For who? For who? Naughty or nice? All right, guys, that's a wrap on the questions tonight. Thank you very much for joining the show. I know we're close to Christmas and people have a lot of stuff going on. But again, thank you for everybody who called in and who joined the chat, all the winners for the BAPS tickets. And we definitely will be back next Tuesday. We're going to keep it rolling. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you.